Hi, how are you?
How are
Hi, good, how are you?
you? Good.
Good.
Well, come on here for the office opening event?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. If you want to sign in real quick.
Sure.
All set up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there no stop?
Put volunteers. That's good.
Does it have two E's or one E?
Oh,
2 E's or one E? And then where else I put it?
Then we'll just peel it off and maybe stick it on this wall here.
Which I'm gonna add. What should I put here?
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming out. I appreciate
Well,
it.
sure, I was just trying to beat the rain.
No, you looks like you succeeded just by a hair. So
Just in time.
just in time. Cool. We've got some snacks in the back.
Okay.
Feel free to grab a seat or hang out or whatever. We're just putting the finishing touches on.
Yeah, where's the best place for me to?
Anywhere works for me. So like I said, snacks in the back, but otherwise,
Cool.
make yourself at home. Yeah.
Alright. Alright, that's good.
Yep.
Then you'll put it up wherever you want to. What about that one right there?
This one here.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That works for me. Cool.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
What's your name?
Rob.
Rob? Or
Yeah.
Jackson?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Cool.
And there's
Let's
another
do one more, just like upcoming things.
upcoming events.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm Joe, by the way.
Hi, Rob. Nice to meet you, Joe.
Cool. So, how'd you hear about the event?
Facebook.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, glad you made it. Have you worked with campaigns before? Or?
I have.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
a bunch of them.
Cool.
Yeah, I grew up in Kansas, so I did most of them there.
Yeah. No, that's
Where in
fair.
Kansas?
In Wichita.
Oh, okay, I'm from Missouri, so
Oh, cool.
same area of the country.
Where in Missouri?
St. Louis.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my aunt lives there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool. Small world.
indeed. They just got a new house. I think they live in Huntley now.
In where?
In Huntley is what they do, I
I don't know
think.
that area.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
Small
I'm
town.
Graham.
Hi, Rob. Nice to meet you, Greg.
Good to meet you, Rob. Good to have you here. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
no,
excited.
that's exciting.
I told them I was.
Originally, I was here in.
I grew up in Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I drove through Wichita on my way in.
that's where I was born.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
I was actually a fan. People, especially when I was in Oklahoma, everybody was like shitting on Kansas because they knew I was about to go drive by the next day. I was like, come on,
Numbers on
guys,
this too, or no?
we're gonna be fine.
That's funny.
We only have two.
But
That's funny.
That was perfect.
So where did you come from?
I'm originally from the Boston area,
Okay.
so I came down from Rhode Island
Okay.
earlier this summer.
Cool. Good for you.
It was cool. It was a great time. We are excited to have Ann here.
Yeah, I was just trying to beat the rain
Yeah. How'd you hear about the event?
on Facebook.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then
I haven't actually seen the Facebook one. I've been mainly on like Twitter about it most of the time.
Yeah.
We tweet a lot for
yeah, like under the description.
for the campaign.
It looked like there were a good number of people interested. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we do.
Phone bank on
We're very
Wednesday.
excited. And what? You live in Sierra Vista these days?
No, I live in Tucson.
In Tucson?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I try to go to all of the events for the different candidates.
Oh, yeah,
Especially because
that's
it's an
great.
open seat. I'm just trying to learn about
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to do.
people and what they think.
I mean, we've got 7 people running in the primary, so
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot of different politics going on here right now.
Yeah, and I think I saw from one of the campus groups, they did a graphic of just the names of all the different people running for all the offices. And I think I saw there's like 7 on the Democratic side and there's like 5 on the Republican side too. So
Yeah, I
there's a
think
lot
there
of
were
people.
4 or 5, yeah. No, it's a loaded race. I mean, this is going to be, like, this congressional race is going to be one of the races that decides control of the House of Representatives next
Yeah, it'll be a
year.
big one.
So it's going to be hugely consequential.
It'll be a big one.
Who the next Speaker of the House will be hinges on what happens here. So
Uh-huh.
it is an exciting time to be in CD2.
No, it is, because I mean, I grew up in Kansas, right? And it's reliably red.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always liked my congressman. Well, not the last one, but
Who was your last one?
the last one is now the Secretary of State, Pompeo.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, that was not
Yeah,
fun.
he's gnarly.
But before him, we had another person, and I didn't always agree with him, but he listened, and
Who's that? I'm
his
curious.
name was Todd Hart.
Okay.
And he's pretty conservative, but
Yeah.
I mean, he listened to people, and he
Looks
he,
like
he was very engaged and held a lot of events. And
Jerry Moran ended up defending the Affordable Care Act last year in the Senate.
yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was a huge flip for him. It's like nobody was expecting that.
Well, I know the Morans,
Oh, really?
and his wife called me because she knew that I didn't want that to be undone.
Yeah.
And she called me. She said, my husband and Mike Lee are about to release a statement opposing the current bill. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And she said, my husband and Mike Lee are about to oppose the current bill. And I said, Mike Lee and your husband.
Yeah, what a strange thing that was.
I said, they do realize, right, that they basically come from one-party states? Like, they understand this?
Yeah.
Kansas and Utah, pretty reliable?
I gained respect for Jerry Moran after that.
Yeah.
I didn't have that much to begin with. I mean, he's generally kind of a...
He's
quiet
low-key.
senator. Yeah, he's not...
Well, I remember, people watching McCain on it all the time. Oh,
These really are sensitive balloons.
Oh my god.
okay.
Must be the
Doesn't happen all night long.
air transfers. I don't know.
What happened?
I'll clean up the windows.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Jesus, yeah, that was exciting.
Whew. We're alive.
Yeah.
We're awake.
You know, it's good. It's good. Woo!
You weren't awake before, you're awake now.
Yup.
All our trash barrel currently contains balloon shards.
Okay, I'll take it.
So do you guys have another office, or is this your first office?
We have 2 offices in Tucson.
Okay. So
There's
it's your
one
third
up
office.
by Campbell and Fort Lowell. And
Yeah.
one by Golf Links and Pantano.
Okay, yeah, Campbell and Fort Lowell's like right by my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was barely at that office at all, but before I moved here, I was at the Golf Links and Pantano office.
Yes,
Southeast
Where'd
office.
you take
The tape, that's you had last. Yes. We passed about Polk County Services.
What time is it? It's like 4:45, so we got a few minutes till.
I don't know, really.
4:45.
Oh yeah, no, I'm done with the call line.
That took a longer than I thought it
You want anything to drink?
Yeah, we got
Sodas,
drinks and
water.
snacks.
Just a water would be fine. Thank you very much. Women Wine Wednesday, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like wine?
It's generally
It's okay.
popular. It's been popular.
Okay with the water's room temperature.
That's fine.
Put some ice, but
That's fine, I prefer it.
Yeah, no, we do it at all our offices, like on Wine Wednesday.
That-
So that works good.
That's awesome.
Give people a reason to come in the door. Infuriates.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you got to give them a reason to come. And who doesn't like wine?
Exactly. That's the exact But yeah, thank you for cool. All this good. Set.
So what did this used to be? Do you know?
So apparently no one's been in this office for something like 4 years. Is what I heard, kind of the last I heard about
Oh my.
the space. Just because all the power companies, if they were like, wow, this hasn't been connected in forever. At some point, I know it was a travel agency, which is why like the map is on the wall and kind of the layout is there. But they're actually in 2014. Ron Barber had his campaign office like 2 doors down here.
Sit
So,
here
Oh, cool.
to sign up.
yeah, if you want to
Yeah,
guard the
yeah.
door, that'd be awesome, Jackson. But honestly, I'm not sure what the last thing in the space was. So,
Yeah, I met Ron Barber
Yeah.
when Tim Kaine came.
when he was in Tucson.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a cool day. That's,
It was like at a middle school or something.
yeah.
this is 2016.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's exciting. So. Yeah, Barber. Or I think Tim King came twice.
11, 16. It's good.
I didn't want to disturb all the other. I didn't want to disturb all the other chairs.
We start the second congressional district. From there, the world
Yeah.
is the next. That's why we still have the map up, right?
Got it.
It's all about world domination.
Of course.
That's why the map is there. Not because it came with the office. Definitely got that. So.
I worked in a campaign office once that used to be a massage parlor.
Yeah.
It still had a functioning shower.
That's not
That
bad.
is useful.
Honestly.
No, there were a couple
Canvas
nights.
shower.
There were a couple nights that I slept in the office,
I
and
believe
then
that.
you
And
got
and
up.
it's helpful to have a shower.
Took a
Yeah,
shower.
I 100% agree. So.
Smoked up.
Great.
Sign in.
Hi.
You guys,
So.
Grail.
What?
Grail.
Graham?
Yeah.
I'm Victor Walker.
Good to meet you. Oh, we spoke last night.
You
Yeah, I was the
called
one
me?
who gave you a call. Yep.
Well, I couldn't count on it because I'm an old guy and I forget.
Yeah. I think I actually, even being a young guy, I called your number right after accidentally, thinking it was the next number in the list.
Yeah.
And I asked if you were Thomas Newskin.
Oh, and I wasn't.
Yeah, no.
At least
I recited the number, and then I think you said that's totally wrong. And I was like, I hung up the phone. I was like, what just happened? And then I looked at the number, and it was your number. Previous part of the list.
Okay.
What's your name?
Susan, sorry,
Grant.
the other half of it.
Good to meet you. Good to have you both.
What's your
Welcome.
last name, Graham?
Rigby.
Not Scottish, right?
Now, a little bit, but not via the Rigby's.
I have a brother named Graham. He was named after the,
No, we were looking for offices in Tucson, and there were like some dentist offices and stuff like that. There were just all these weird, because you just want a space that you can be in
Yep.
for a few months. So
Right.
I don't know,
But,
it's the one that.
yeah, it was weird. Like every room has a sink and like a little hole in the ground where the dentist chair was.
And they're tiny little rooms.
Exactly. Which kind
Everyone
of works like little
class
offices,
learns about
but
Brandon's Law. That's a Scottish.
no, it's
There's a lot of
interesting for sure. So.
very capable.
Yeah, we weren't really sure when I was working in the massage parlor office. We weren't really sure how it was a massage parlor because a couple of the rooms were really big. Like several of them were really small, but then a couple of them were really big, and I'm like, what do they have in
They
here?
did that's like the group massage. That's weird. Yeah.
And maybe they had, I don't know, maybe they had
Right, yeah. Well, that's funny.
foot or hand massages, and then you could have more than one chair.
But no, that's funny. Like, it's, yeah, no, offices are weird, right? It's like weird trying to figure out how people set up the space. So.
So how did you get involved?
So I worked for Ann's campaign and the Clinton campaign in Arizona in 2016. So I was the campaign in the States.
Okay.
So I've kind of known the area and the campaign she was rolling and got roped into it. So no, it's good. It's good. So it's funny. I'm originally from Arizona, and I swore that I would never come here after college or anything like that. All of a sudden, this state is, you know, it's a political battleground. It's weird. Like,
Well, I mean, it was so much fun for me because, you know, like I said, growing up in Kansas, it was reliably red, and we never had anything. So we never had, you know, like presidential candidates come to visit. And so all of a sudden, when Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine and Mike Pence and Donald Trump were all I was like, oh my gosh,
I know.
they're all coming.
Yep. It's great. Well, see, that's what I remember. It's like this solid Republican state that, you know, no one ever paid any attention to. Like, it doesn't really matter. And then overnight, it seems like it, like, kind of emerged as a place that suddenly happened. So now it's crazy.
Well, I think it's important to matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's that balance is important. And we're supposed to function on a two-party system, and the only way that we're healthy is when we're doing so.
Yep, no, I agree. Which is great. And I mean, it's cool that, like, yeah, we get to have that here and really fight the fight in a place like this.
Well, and it's, you know, I mean, I've always thought that public office was contract labor, right? Nobody is.
Hi, how are ya? Good. You should have signed in real quick.
Nobody has an inherent right to any seat, whether it be, you know, city council or Congress or president of the United States. And so I think when it's not a guarantee for anybody what it's going to be, I think it's good.
No, I agree. There's actually food and drinks and all that stuff right around the corner.
Okay.
If you're interested in anything at all.
The only ones who texted back.
I like those shirts.
Smile on my face.
Nice. I like the shirt. It's a good look.
Well, many years ago, I was chair of the party, and we had shirts made, and whatever.
Just got this all set up.
It's helpful. You know,
We'll be here. I'll be here.
Although Cochise County is
in the Boston area. But I was living in Tucson for a while before I moved down here.
politically, it's the other way. The numbers are against us.
More green, nicer, better.
A lot of the people on the other side are against us, but not all of them are against with a capital A. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
There are people who are perhaps
No, I agree. Well, and there's also just folks who feel like they're, you know, the only Democrat in State Red.
But when
just
you
remind them too, there are other people out there. If you feel like your vote doesn't matter, then you're just not going to vote. Right.
And you know,
That's what I recommend.
Cochise County has 6,200 stores.
You get
We
the
may not know it, but it does.
but you also just get to walk around the city and see the city.
And I see why I have been because, and it takes a lot of
It
pride.
does. I
And you have groups of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 people, okay, but you go anyway.
Yep. You can find I'm ready for state.
My message to almost all the people that I spoke to was, you need to vote.
Yep.
Get out the vote. And I actually, I didn't say you gotta vote for Democrats, I just said you gotta tell your friends and neighbors, and relatives, and everybody else, make it to the polls side right now. I said, you know, if people hear that, I think that now is the time to come out.
I agree.
Probably.
That's kind of the key. Yeah. You trust that if
Not
everyone
by no means a clear cut.
Oh, yeah.
She released crazy out there.
What is it? I think it's a line from the West Wing. It's no matter who you vote for, make sure to vote.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it.
And I think that really matters.
I mean, what she's functionally
When you
going
look
to
at
amount
voting
to
and some of the things that have happened in the last 20 years,
20 months too.
I'm excited to run against her.
I saw a statistic
Yeah,
that said that in the state of Florida,
I just know her. She should be Florida.
there were 600,000
But
convicted felons who had served their
race in this
time
district
but still
is going
couldn't
to
vote.
be one of the tightest in the country.
So,
Against Reverend Ron Barber.
At least 2 elections that I know could have been swung if those people had been able
Hey
to.
guys, can we get you to sign in real quick?
Come in.
You got the sheet here? What's your name?
No, you're right.
Yeah, I'm Fred.
Why don't you even look at this thing? How crazy it is. Like who's thinking to jump through and use your rights restored?
Yes.
The votes, right? Like,
At least here, you have the chance.
you can't get it.
And I know of a guy who did his time.
Yes, I did.
He's a business person in town.
Yeah, we're excited to have this in there. Everything used to be traveling.
But, you know,
I'm really excited, actually. I love maps.
that's what that kind of
I just
thing.
found out that I'm allowed to access
The other
all
part
my
of it
government here, so I am going to go home.
Poor felons, and they look at this one as political electoral problem as opposed to human rights.
Yeah. This one is our kind of democratic plan, right? Start with 17 congressional districts in the
It
world.
can be done.
Yep, no, absolutely.
It does seem a little bit ambitious for congressional districts.
Yeah, just like the races, like they're
We've got a
really.
little
Secretary of
background
State did something
but
really bad recently. I read it in the newspaper.
absolutely free to have a seat.
Well, I mean, she has a tendency to forget to do her job, or send out this information. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to. Yeah.
She did it based off of
Yeah, that's good. Yes, sorry, that food is different, so please go help yourselves.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you? Bob, nice job. Nice to meet you. Thanks so much for coming out. Yeah, thank you for having me. Oh, absolutely.
So are you local or you come from?
So it's a little non-protected. I'm from so I know Arizona well, and I worked here in 2016, 2014, but I'm not from Syracuse.
Nobody's from Syracuse except us, right? Yeah.
But yes, so I am from
Yeah. Well, that's
the
a
broad area.
Yeah, so you, I assume you open an office here.
Yep.
Open an office in Tucson.
Yeah.
Or something.
We're Douglas is kind of the next frontier. It's kind of, in order. Sierra Vista's, there's the first spot you got to start. And then, I mean, Douglas is much more attractive there, which is very nice.
It's really I come on water, I
Yeah, I agree. I got all of that too. Taking it for friends.
It's a very nice thing. We've Mindy Gomez and I have tried. We've
How you never know.
I've been there
He is at talk about this too.
This is the down right now.
Yeah.
Down there,
Well, that.
Every now and then I'll call someone and say,
We did Douglas Day. We did an open. And it's a little bit challenging.
shadow operator.
So my understanding of kind of their investment timeline there, and this is why we're
Now you got the office.
right. Is they are all the years, so they will have something post primary, but they also which is exactly what we're doing. 45 days.
45 days and it only votes out. So if you're right to be
that's the problem. Our primary is so late. Like you just got it.
you want to California.
So I worked in Virginia twice. I did 27 and there was great, right? You have a June primary, you work the summer primary.
Labor Day, you do.
Versus the problem is
Great.
the expectation that you're going to do anything until you're so we've got
Everybody says Brandon got 16 high school.
well, she used to take like
So you got 16.
No, it shows that everybody remembers me. So, I mean, in the district, long project, trying to get the regular
People in the office. Always fun.
That's good.
You don't working on science.
It's not gonna be as well known anymore. It's just me here most of the time, so.
Yeah.
It's great to see space people.
What's on there?
Yeah, no, we will take that. It's in AC, but it's the Mexican border. It's not very long, so.
That's really sad.
But it's that was the that's why the fans were on that.
This is.
You
I mean, this is.
Hi, Joe. Nice to meet you. Thanks so much for coming out. Really appreciate it.
Say hello to Joe. He's telling us all about what their plans are. So, yeah,
Such as they are.
hey, you've got plans.
That's step one. Step one. Yeah, how to execute.
Good for you.
So, yeah, so we've got photos
And this is all triple C.
yeah, this is well, it's with right, so we'll be here, this will be the spot. It's free. Yeah.
Anybody can replace the overall stuff in the primary section, so who's left? Yeah, right.
No, there's, I mean, New York, New York has a congressional one. There's some Ohio sessions, there's some Ohio
Which are really thinking.
So we took right again, it's a couple of years on this, right?
Did the details
We are. I think the thought is so I mean, this is still remote. So if we go in here, the problem. No, I absolutely agree. If you identify some, then you can get those out to vote on primary. Then usually, then they're guaranteed to vote. Like, our primaries tend to be pretty low. Right? So it's it really came which is good. So just gotta do that action.
So it's, this is one. Yes. That's Alzheimer's. I'm sure. So there's no university.
We've reached out. This is partially like the explanation I was got that it's very much like a lot of the military. Yeah, there's a lot of like
Hi, how are you?
That's a challenge. That's a challenge.
There's no real organization. Apparently, there's some
Yeah, so the coordinator started two songs. Useful setup. Here, let's do. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, so we'll see how it gets on. To be fair, it's every party I have a friend. I mean, I spend time with people too much. But it's still the folks who join the party, folks who are PCs, yeah, no, I just want to say, so that he is back. My name's Tommy make sure everyone knows we're here.
I used to live on which apartment?
How are you?
I mean, just common sense. I had a friend when I was in Missouri. He was taking from Arkansas. I didn't really know anything about Arkansas. He started telling all this stuff that he started telling, teaching me how to learn about being a root runner and, you know, like half the girls are around the boat. You know, because mom and
It is, yes.
I
that see
I mean,
or
it's crazy to see exactly.
I don't think we can probably tell you that.
There's no way that apparently these are my name's John Elmer. Slowly, and now last week, I mean, we started.
What's going on? I don't know anybody here.
Bad thing about that. Just hope that it rains more.
Pulling pardon today. The Oregon
He's at least got a break. He's got a break. That's partially the deal.
And we have them for 10 days. And now they've been coming in.
It's a tradition or anyone, I'll be there. But it's just a volunteer kind of every Wednesday. And we have people coming to make but I guess go to my everybody comes in and drinks. You get once the
10 minutes till they'll roll up.
I'll call you and ask you to do something. Can you do all maybe you're an ideal candidate for what's going on. We'll just buy it, and that can be your one time a week. You can get a boost phone there. Half an hour. Half an hour, 2 glasses of water. Maybe a lot of people, I relate. Sometimes most people realize that you're just that you're not trying to get anything from it. Other than the answer. And that you're there. Your abilities with things like that too. Well, so you're going to have burner system. So I was making calls for this.
Yeah, I know. That's
I think there's some communication because I have a still in the West area, so I have a lot of questions like where are you from? We have to So the main thing is and the conversations we're going to have, the vast majority of people believe that the cities will never hear from again, and they can listen to the message.
You always been interested in politics?
Oh yeah. My grandma was always interested in it, so she got me involved.
Are you in Sarah?
No, I'm in Tucson. I just saw it on Facebook, and I like to try to go to meet all the different candidates for all the offices. So I thought, well, I'll come hear what she has to say.
We used to live, that's when we met in Tucson, and I was down here about 25 years ago, but I really like Tucson. It's a fun city.
Yeah, it's nice.
We still go up there sometimes, but now it has to be practical soon, you know. Nothing else to
So what do you do here?
I work for the schools. I work from Airbnb. Well, he's been he was a government employee. He works at the wellness and most of the people working on the board. The board employs a lot of people. And then the other side, you know, have you been down here before?
A couple of times, but I don't know it well.
You have nicer weather than Tucson. I mean,
How many people?
30,000.
Yeah.
And because it is so much the military and all that stuff.
Pretty transient. Pretty transient. With all of the transfers and deployments and stuff.
Well, I think now they do it about 3 years.
That's nice. Better for their families. Especially with kids.
What do you do in Tucson?
Sorry?
What do you do in Tucson?
I'm a student. Yes.
What do you study?
Public policy.
Oh, wow. How much longer do you have?
Not too much. I should be finished pretty soon, within a year or so.
Do you want to stick around Arizona?
I do. I love Arizona. It has become home. No, I grew up in Kansas. Yeah.
I grew up in Nebraska.
Okay, yeah. Probably pretty similar. Probably pretty similar.
It's a good place in the world. I really like the mountains. I like the
So I'm the field director for But it all matters,
On board.
Why did you choose Arizona?
The weather. It's better for my health in the winter.
Not that nice. That's why I would never do it.
Why would you want to? You've had the best. I mean, and this, like 2 months of yuck, is worth it for the other 10 months of paradise.
You just learn to live with that.
Yep. You go from your air-conditioned house to your air-conditioned car to the movie theater, the bowling alley, or the pool. I always think that people in Arizona see every movie that comes out in the summer.
Okay, we're gonna go see. Did you see Deadpool?
I did.
You like it?
I did. That was good. And I just saw the other day the Mr. Rogers movie. The Mr. Rogers movie.
Oh, you did?
And it was wonderful.
Yeah, I got really good reviews. I saw that.
It was glorious. Really worth seeing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend a week up in Phoenix, and so I just plan on going to stockings for movies I want to see. So that's gonna be one of them. And this one was meant for. I'm gonna see that one too. There's a couple of them.
high school song, I found out
Well, if I have learned nothing else, I have learned that campaign events never run on time. Ever. For anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter. When you make a commitment to run for office, your whole schedule gets thrown in a loop.
You've been in any campaigns?
Mostly in Kansas, where I grew up, but yeah. In Wichita? What part of Nebraska did you grow up?
Right around Lincoln, so that's
Okay. Yeah.
so for us, my town was called 3 miles. I was about the same size as Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then I went to University of Nebraska for a while.
South Central. No, it's pretty big. It's about 500,000 people, metro. Yeah, it's the big city.
Thank you. Welcome to our Sierra Vista office. We are so happy to be up and running and have all of you come in here. And so sorry we were a little bit late, but thanks for waiting. Now I want to just give you a quick update. I know some of you need to get going, and so I'm Ann Kirkpatrick, running for Congress. This served 3 terms in Congress. I ran against John McCain in 2016. And now running for this congressional seat. We really have a good chance to pick it up. You know, Gabby represented this district, and she's a good friend of mine and endorsed me. So has Ron Barber. And you know, my mother's family were Republican ranchers, and my dad's family were Democrat businessmen. And so I always said it made for really interesting family get-togethers because everybody had an opinion. But you know, at the end of the day, we were all family, we were all Arizonans, we were all Americans. And that's the spirit that I bring to Washington, D.C., to this district, in terms of being able to represent you and everybody in the district and get things done. And I think that we need that now more than ever in Washington. And we are on a path to victory. This is our 3rd campaign office open. And we're just so happy to be down here. And we see new energy that we haven't seen before. And I want to talk about that because it's a real resource for the campaign. So first of all, we're seeing more women engaged in the campaign than ever before. And most of them have not been engaged politically. They got organized after the 2016 election, and their energy has sustained. We're seeing a lot of young people mobilized around the guns issue. And there's a women's group called Moms Demand Action that I'm a part of, and they had a big forum last night, packed the room, just to talk about what we can do in terms of gun violence prevention. And then the 3rd group are teachers. So do we have any teachers here? Yeah, thank you, both of you, thank you. I'm sure you're welcome. What grade do you teach?
Well, I don't anymore, but I've taught 2nd grade through junior college.
Oh, wow. How about you?
University and college, German, English, history, humanities.
Oh, wow. Well, my mother was a public school teacher, and I taught school in Tucson for a couple of years after I graduated undergrad, before I went to law school. I wasn't a very good teacher, so I decided to go to law school. But good for you for having a full career. And you know, teachers are really a force in this election. You know, they went on strike. They're finally standing up saying we want better pay, we want better wages, and they certainly deserve it. And so they're coming out in force, and we've got 6 weeks to go before the primary, and then we've got a sprint to the general election. I have a primary, but I'm the front runner. The Republicans have a 4-way primary, And we don't know who the front runner is. And their challenge is going to be, they only have 4 weeks before early ballots go out for the general election to get their names out there. So, that's kind of the state of the play as it is right now. We've got over 30 young interns coming in, knocking on doors, contacting voters, calling. Jackson is one. Most of them are University of Arizona students and high school students coming out. We were just talking about a whole group of them can't vote yet, but they're out there beating the streets, knocking on doors because they care about the future for themselves. So that said, happy to take any questions you might have, or we'll just mix and mingle.
What's your message for the border?
No wall.
On the other hand, Kim and I have a harder one. What do we do about these kids that are in cages? What can I do today, tomorrow, this week?
It's heartbreaking.
What can I do?
I wish I had an answer. I haven't gone to the detention centers because I'm not in an official capacity. They'll turn me away. No, they'll turn me away. There's nothing I can do. I mean, my contribution to this is to win this seat, which is winnable, and hopefully we take back the House and perhaps the Senate, and then we start blocking all these things that the president's doing. That's what we can do.
Community services.
That's what we can do.
As of yesterday, had permission to feed children. I thought that was pretty good. But only children that get to these cages after 11 at night and before 5 in the morning and haven't had food for 12 hours. Then Catholic Community Services can feed them.
It just is, I am a
It
grandmother.
boggles the mind.
It's a black eye on our history forever.
Yes, it is.
Forever.
Yes.
And I've got
Yes.
3 grandsons. Yeah, you're right.
So it's Trump.
Yeah. I have 3 grandsons. The oldest is 3, and the other 2 are toddlers. And they've got toddlers. I mean, look, who's feeding these toddlers?
Yeah.
They can't feed themselves. I mean,
They can, but they won't do it right.
and they're
Yeah.
still in diapers. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It just boggles.
It boggles.
West sickness, they're not allowed to touch them.
Yeah.
Comfort them.
The workers there, I'm not saying.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, that's horrid.
It's horrid.
That is.
It's horrid. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Do you know of anything that's possible to do about the Supreme Court nominee? Is there any way we can delay it? We can.
There is.
Put a block
We
in
were
there?
just talking about this on the way down, so that
'Cause that's
we're
crucial.
praying that John McCain stays alive
Yeah.
because he has the power to block the nomination, and certainly he's no fan of the president. They may not have the votes, and Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, and we think Jeff Flake have all signaled they're not going to vote for this judge. So they're not going to have votes. So what happens then? It's a 4-4 court. You might remember that happened to Obama. And when it's a 4-4 court, the lower court decision is always upheld. So it basically stymies them, which I think would be fabulous, quite honestly, until we take back the Senate.
Yes.
Well, that's my prayer.
Yeah.
Because if he gains control, I mean, there's just a whole list of stuff that's going down.
That's right. That's right.
Before the midterms.
That's right. And it'll be for a generation before we can
Yep.
get it back. Yeah. Yes. Oh, wait, you were here.
I'm sorry, just a quick thing. You were
Yeah.
asking what we could do about the separation of families and children in detention centers. And one thing that I urge everyone to do is call the White House comment line. Call them at least once a week, if not more. Because that lets your elected representatives know that this is what people are thinking about. It keeps the pressure up. Call Jeff Flake's office, press number 5 to speak to a real person, because I know that they tally what
That's
people are
true, they do.
calling about, and always identify yourself as a constituent.
Right. And call the Republicans.
Yes, or Mitch McConnell you can't get through to.
No.
Send him an email.
No, he's got his stuff.
But that's a really good point. Yeah, the offices do keep tallying.
They do.
Yeah, they really do. Yes.
What is your message on healthcare?
I supported the Affordable Care Act. It was my proudest vote ever. I lost my father because we lived in a part of the state that didn't have health care. So it's not only personal, but 24 million net people now have health care, and it's the reason I got in this race. So I voted for the Affordable Care Act, even though I was told that I would lose an election for that vote. I said, I don't care, it's the right thing to do. I did in fact lose my next election, but I will tell you there are a lot of Democrats who voted against it, and they still lost their election. And so when Martha McSally last summer voted for that Republican health care bill that would have sent us back to square one, kicked 24 million people off their health care, I said I cannot stand on the sideline and watch this happen. I fought too hard for it, and I was going to take her on and beat her. And so she told a friend of mine in DC at the end of last year, she said, I have a better chance of winning statewide than running against Ann Kirkpatrick and CD2. And so she left here. So now it's what they call an open seat. There's no incumbent. Yes?
Tell us about Roe v. Wade.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I will tell you, I talked to a friend of mine, an attorney, who actually knows this guy, the new nominee. And I...
Kavanaugh.
Yeah, Kavanaugh, thank you. I was trying to block it all. So I asked her, I talked with her this morning, and she said, he's smart, he really is ethical, and that he believes in the independence of the judiciary, rather that should keep its independence and not be politically swayed. So I asked her, I said, well, what's he going to do with Roe v. Wade? She said, I'd be very surprised if he voted to overturn it. It's the law of the land, and it's been the law of the land for so long. She said, I think there would be so much public outcry.
Oh, boy.
So I said, well, that's hopeful. I mean, at least that's hopeful. Before that, I just thought, we're going to lose it. And I'm of the generation that remembers when abortions were not legal. And I almost lost the college.
Phoenix, I take people to flights to Colorado, and then to go back up and pick them up.
Or go to Nogales. So I almost lost a roommate.
Colorado.
Yeah, I almost lost a roommate. Yeah.
The guy, Mr. Kavanaugh, has taken it off of his website now, but until about 2 weeks ago, he had a big screed about how he accepts and honors and respects the what's already happened. What's precedent?
Oh,
precedent.
yes.
Now he's taken it down, so
That's
maybe the senators
interesting.
didn't like it. Who knows? But the senators don't know anything about anything. But he did have it up there.
And that's kind of in line with what my friend was saying, that she thinks he's very judicial and not political. So, but I don't know.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah, that's right. But he probably took it down because he's going to go.
Well, I
for
have to think
confirmation.
Republican senators really didn't want to see that up there.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about gerrymandering?
I can talk with you about gerrymandering. It's really why we're in the situation we are right now.
Yes.
It's not quite as bad in Arizona because we have an independent redistricting commission. Arizona and California have that. But the legislature keeps trying to change it. And it's 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and independent. And we're going to be facing that. The big question right now is the census. Is the Trump administration going to be able to actually conduct an accurate census? Because those are the founding numbers for how we figure out these districts. And so it's a real concern. It's a real concern.
Yeah.
And if they're trying to make citizenship a question on the census applications, and they're afraid that people aren't going to fill it out. They aren't going to fill it out. Yeah. Yes.
What committees will you ask Nancy to put you on?
I'm going to ask to be on appropriations, and defense appropriations. So that's the most powerful armed services committee. It'll be the appropriations committee, but the defense subcommittee. And I think that's a really good fit for here, especially, but also for Tucson because they've got Davis Market. So that's what I'm going to go back as a 4th term congresswoman, so I'll have some seniority. But she gets a call the day after the election.
Good.
I'm going to really, and trying to line up, and you can help me with that, with as much support for that committee as possible. So we're just gonna barrage her office, put Ann Kirkpatrick and, yeah. Thank you all, thank you, yes, yeah.
Do you think she will retain her speakership of the House?
I think she will. I do. I support her, and let me tell you why. She has an amazing ability to put together coalitions. So when we were when I was first elected in 2008, we had the majority, but we had the rural progressives, we had the blue dogs, we had all these different groups, and she was able to bring them together, and we had some heated debates in caucus, but at the end of the day, came around to a consensus and passed great legislation. And no speaker before or since has been able to do that.
Yeah.
She never brought a bill to the floor until she knew she had the votes, and that's a remarkable talent.
Yeah.
And we see that Paul Ryan cannot do that at all. And look, she didn't have any easier job than he has. He just can't do it.
Well, thank God.
Right. Yeah, right. Yes.
Do you know anything about Medicare Advantage? I belong to an HMO, and it's the only one in Sierra Vista that I can join.
Yeah.
And the doctor's offices are having so many problems with this new one. Allwell took over for HealthNet, and it's been horrendous.
It's a real
been
problem.
Awful.
It's a real problem.
Do you know anything about it?
I know a little bit about Medicare Advantage. It's got problems.
Yeah.
It's got problems.
I'm gonna have to go with the PPO.
And I'll tell you what my solution is to Medicare Advantage.
Single payer.
Well, not single payer, but let me tell you my solution, but I'll tell you why I don't support single payer yet. I believe, and I'm pushing legislation that would allow people to buy into Medicare at any age. So it's a paid for because you're paying a premium. It's a system that works, and people like Medicare. And it gives people a choice in these counties where we only have one insurance provider.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's my plan. The reason I don't support single payers is we've got these groups of people who get their Medicare, their care from, say, the Veterans Hospital, and they want to continue that. So veterans have typically special problems, and I know some of you are veterans, and thank you for your service, but they want to go to the Veterans Hospital where they've got trained doctors who understand what's going on with them. Same thing with Indian Health Services. The Native Americans like to go to those doctors. They have special health needs. Those are systems that work for people. But the biggest one is over 140 million people in this country get their health insurance from their employer. And I want those employers to keep paying for that. That's a benefit for the employees. And I don't want to relieve those corporations of that responsibility. Yes?
Is there anything we can do because the administration has decided to stop defending the part of Obamacare that says that insurance companies have to provide for pre-existing conditions? Jeff Sessions has decided we're not going to defend that anymore. So is there anything we can do?
Again, like she said, call your congressman, call the Senate, call a line. But what's happening is the insurance companies on their own are still abiding by that. So they are covering pre-existing conditions, and they're making that choice themselves because they're seeing that it's helping people, it's working. Yes?
How about prescriptions? I find that I'm originally from Germany. You can go to Munich, to Hamburg, pay the same price. Within the town, for the same medicine, you pay anything from $280 to $194.
Yeah.
Same medicine, same thing. Or you go across the border, it's cheaper to go there.
Right.
So why can't we have a health system?
And we should have, instead of voting over 70 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act, we should have been working together in a bipartisan way to fix that. Yeah. That is one of the main things that's not.
And there is a fix. There are several.
Yeah.
There's one I particularly like, but there are several that would work.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we were debating the Affordable Care Act, so my legal background was representing a regional hospital. And so I think I was the only member of Congress who came to that debate with that hospital experience. And I said, we need to require the government to negotiate prescription costs.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And wanted that to be, I really fought hard to have that in the Affordable Care Act, and we couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. But again, it can be done.
I know.
It can be done.
With this
The
all-
VA does it for the veterans.
Yeah.
With this all-low insurance taking over health net, one of my medications went from $41 a month to $187 a month. And I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
It's terrible. It really is. I have a friend whose daughter has a chronic condition. She has to have a complete blood transfusion every month. It costs $15,000. And she moved to Ireland permanently, because she gets health care. She gets health care. And she's so afraid they're going to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and she won't have any choices. So people are really in a bind. And the thing about prescription costs, there's no transparency. So like you said, there's the price range varies.
Yeah.
But you can't go online and find out what that pharmacy's going to charge. There's no transparency, so you can't really even shop intelligently.
I'm thinking of checking with Canada and see if they have.
Yeah.
They're gonna quit letting us do it.
I know people who take
buses.
buses up to Canada just to buy their prescription.
Yeah.
Well, the other.
Nice trip.
Okay, go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh,
No, come
I was
back.
gonna say, the other issue is rural hospitals like what we have here.
Yes.
Ours is a private one, so it's very sensitive to the market. And without anything like the ACA, hospitals like ours here.
It would have closed.
Yeah, they will close, and
Yeah.
then where are we?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the issue I have personally with private hospitals, but it is what it is, and they do give good care, but they are in danger. Yeah, that's better to know.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
the
dangerous.
Affordable Care Act provided compensation and resources for community health centers.
Yeah.
That really helped rural Arizona. I'm going to go to the gentleman behind you and then over here, and I'll come back to you. Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, just for information's sake, there is a website called goodrx.com. You can go on there and search for whatever medication it is that you take, and you may be able to find a really nice coupon on that, which will
that's good.
discount the price considerably.
Thank you.
I have found that for 2 of the medications.
Thank you.
Actually, I did want to just say something about universal health care. Number one, that every other first world nation has a form of universal health care. Secondly, no Canadian family is bankrupted by a cancer diagnosis, whereas I believe that's the leading cause of personal bankruptcy in the United States is medical costs. And thirdly, a couple months ago, my 24-year-old daughter was saying, who has a job up in Phoenix, but, Mom, I think I'd like to start my own business. And my immediate thought is, where are you going to get your health insurance? So even though, yes, it's great to have employers who pay for insurance, mine doesn't, but my daughter's does, but imagine the freedom and creativity if all of you young people, or all of us old people, would just say, you know what, I'm going to go off on my own, and know that you had umbrella coverage. My dad has been covered by the VA for years, and Indian Health Service is a great service, so maybe there could be exceptions for those. But for the rest of us, just the security of knowing that you weren't this far from financial disaster.
Yeah.
Well, and when we put together the Affordable Care Act, that was a big concern. That it was we wanted to encourage entrepreneurship and allow a robust marketplace so that people like your daughter can start her business, buy her insurance on the marketplace, and it would be affordable. But what we've seen with this administration is the prices are just going up.
They're
sabotaging. Absolutely. Let me go.
It was me, but I'll be real quick. I have a friend who's in St. David, right up the road here, and she has really bad cancer, and she's going to die of it. And she has a wonderful caregiver in Tucson, and he has in his office four social workers who spend all their time writing grants for the patients to get the medicines that they need.
Wow. That is just
Yeah.
terrible.
When we all go out there and talk to people, what are the 1 or 2 things you want us to say to those people about you?
Yeah, I'm native Arizonan. Grew up on an Indian reservation. Spoke Apache as a child.
Did what?
Spoke Apache. It was my first language. Yeah. Yeah, so that should resonate down here.
So you're the second, you're the second Pocahontas, huh?
My dad ran the general store on the reservation, and his family came to Arizona in the early 1900s to grow food for the cavalry at Fort Apache. And then they started opening up businesses. And then my mother's family were ranchers. So that kind of background.
So
I'm actually branded in the old-fashioned way.
So you want us to emphasize your native roots?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
This is kind of a racist place. I don't know that down here you should emphasize.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that to be joking.
Right.
But if Martha McSally really did endorse you, I'd push that because a lot of people here.
Yeah, you give her.
Okay.
I think she did.
Totally misheard it.
She did? That's something else. I think that Gabby's endorsed me, and that goes a long way down.
I think it definitely is.
I think so too.
And then I'm a grandma. I mean, I'm an ordinary person. A grandma, and spend a lot of time babysitting. But I also go to school, University of Arizona. So left the reservation, came down here to school. It was a complete culture shock. But got my undergraduate degree and then taught school for a couple of years and then went to law school. Worked in the Pima County Attorney's Office. So I actually, you might remember in 2011, Judge John Roll was killed at the Tucson shooting, and I had been a law clerk for him. We kept that friendship until he died. He had just been back in D.C. to visit me right before the shooting. So that, and then Gabby was my mentor in the state legislature and also in Congress. So that really affected me in a big way, and still does. I'm still devastated. But Gabby's endorsement just means the world. So there's no better person. Yeah. But I will tell you, if you talk to people and they've got a question, they can call Graham. If he doesn't know the answer, I'll call him back, and I do that. So a lot of times the staff, I'll go into an office and I say, will you call this person? She had a question about this. And I say, oh yeah, happy to do that. And we want people's questions to be answered.
Different.
Yeah, right? Well, thank you all so much. Thanks for your patience. And Cochise County.
I just want to quickly jump up and do 2 quick things. First, plug, if everyone hasn't met Graham I think is probably the phone call that most of you got. Yes. Graham is going to be working out of this office full-time, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Like, we are in it to win it in Sierra Vista, so we need all of your help. We've put up some of our upcoming events. Every Wednesday we do an event. We make some phone calls. It's called Women Wine Wednesday, so we make calls to women voters on behalf of our women candidates. We have some wine and other beverages as well. So if you're interested, we're getting that started tomorrow.
Men can come too.
Men, yeah. Everyone is welcome. The wine is for everyone. It goes great. But if you're able to join us every Wednesday evening, we're doing that. And this Saturday, we're doing a big weekend of action, knocking on doors, making some phone calls to start the turnout here. The second thing I wanted to mention, we have 2 of our LD14 candidates here. I don't know if Jamie and Bob, you guys wanted to say a quick word just to introduce yourselves to folks.
Just very quickly, I'm Jaime Alvarez. I think I know a lot of you. Those that I have not knocked on your door or have talked with or listened to you, please give me that opportunity today. I am going to be having a primary, so it is important that you come out. As I was explaining to some of the guys here, I've got a card here. It's got all the election dates. Okay? A little self-serving also, because if you put that next to your calendar and you remember to vote, you'll see my picture and you'll remember that's who I've got to vote for. So please do that. A lot of the issues that she was speaking about are very real to us. But you know, a lot of people don't realize, when I was traveling the last time that I ran in 2016, the thing that I found out was that when people talk about health care, it's not Obamacare. There are so many other issues here at the state level that need to be improved on. When I was in Wilcox, people were concerned there about the mental and behavioral health centers closing and then having to go to Benson. The people in Safford concerned because the same thing was happening to them. The children that get involved with drugs, the ones that have the family resources can go to rehab. It's taken off the record. I found out from talking to a judge that that was actually true. I didn't know that, and I had heard that kind of stuff. But they said, as a result, the other children, those that do not have the money, end up going to prison. That kind of health care. Douglas, the health care problems that they have down there, they shut down their hospital. All of a sudden, they've got this little triage, basically. And if the people are lucky, if they have to be transported, it's through an ambulance, and as opposed to a helicopter. Because if that happens, the sky's the limit for those costs. And so healthcare is a very big issue here. Talking to the people here at the hospital, those who brought in the new hospital, one of the concerns, they told me, we were criticized because we did not bring in more healthcare providers. It wasn't that we didn't try. It was that when we made the job offers, they said, oh, it's not Tucson, it's not Phoenix. I'm not going there, especially with that educational stigma that your state has. So all of that, those are the healthcare issues that we've got here. Education, the biggest thing. That's
all
what got
tied
me
together. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what got me into the race the last time. I got into it because nobody was stepping forward about education, and when I was volunteering in the schools, and I was a 7th and 8th grade math tutor, and I saw what was going on, that the teachers were having to make copies of workbooks, textbooks, and my auditor mind, the first thing I thought of was, holy moly, look at this, whatever happened to the copyright infringement laws? But it wasn't their fault. It was the state not stepping up.
Yeah.
And when I saw that after a couple of years, and I found out nobody ran against Gail Griffin, my opponent in 2016, nobody ran against her in 2014. I was dumb enough to say, I've never run for office before, but if nobody runs against her in 2016, I will.
Good for you.
Hi, I'm Bob Karp. I'm running for state rep. There are 2 state rep positions for LD14, which is Cochise County. Greenlee, part of Graham, and part of Pima. I am delighted to be running. It's hard work. And I would say that what we want to do is we want to flip the house at the state house. We need to flip one of those 2 houses. I hope it'll be the state house. Because we need to be able to get our arguments out. We need to be part of the budget process. We need to be able to stop some of the incredible, arrogant things that are going on, particularly in women's health, abortion. Be very concerned that this will now be one of the states that will outlaw abortion because they're ready to do it. There's a good campaign going on, and I urge you to vote all the way down the ballot.
Thank you both. Thank you. I called Brian Howard, who's the head of Planned Parenthood in Arizona yesterday.
I'm endorsed by the Action Committee. Yeah.
And good for you. I mean, they're working really hard to take back the House and the Senate, the State House and Senate.
Yes.
He feels like that's where we were most vulnerable. He said, I'm not as worried about what happens at the federal level as I am what happens at the local level. So thank both of you for stepping up and running. You can really make a difference here in Arizona.
All right.
Thank you all. Have a great Yeah, plenty of food. Take it home.
How you doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
Good. Are you in school here in Tucson?
No, I'm in school in Tucson at U of A.
At U of A, what are you studying?
Public policy.
Excellent. This summer, or you just a cameo appearance today?
No, I like to go around and meet the different candidates for all the offices, and I saw this was going to happen. I didn't have anything to do. I thought, okay, I'll come.
But you live here in the summer?
No, I'm in Tucson full time.
Oh, so you're in Tucson full time on the campground?
Yeah. No, I grew up in Kansas, but I've been here about 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I always wonder how people wander their way over here.
The weather. That's what it was for me. It's better for me in the winter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So. Well, I hope you have a great night. Thank you. You bet. Great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
This is John.
Much nicer, cooler out here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little cool air.